Hello and welcome to another reading session of the E-Myth Revisited. Now, today we will be reading the last true chapter of the book. It will not be the last reading, however, because after this chapter there is a letter to Sarah and an epilogue still. So after the chapter, we still have those to look forward to. And also, this chapter is a longer one. So we will be seeing where we get in this session. We might read the entire thing. We might not. We'll see. So let's get started on our final chapter, chapter 18, Your Systems Strategy. The world thus appears as a complicated tissue of events, in which connections of different kinds alternate or overlap or combine, and thereby determine the texture of the whole. A quote by Werner Heisenberg, Physics and Philosophy. Throughout this book, I have talked about systems without really defining what a system is. So let me do that here. A system is a set of things, actions, ideas, and information that interact with each other, and in doing so, alter other systems. In short, everything is a system. The universe, the world, San Francisco Bay, the office I'm sitting in, the word processor I'm using, the cup of coffee I'm drinking, the relationship you and I are having, they're all systems. Some systems we can understand, and some we can't. Let's take a look at the ones we can, the systems in your business. 3 kinds of systems. There are 3 kinds of systems in your business: hard systems, soft systems, and information systems. Hard systems are inanimate, unliving things. My computer is a hard system, as are the colors in this office's reception area. Soft systems are either animate, living, or ideas. You are a soft system. So is the script for Hamlet. Information systems are those that provide us with information about the interaction between the other two. Inventory control, cash flow forecasting, and sales activity summary reports are all information systems. The innovation, quantification, and orchestration and integration of these three kinds of systems in your business is what your business development program is all about. What follows are examples of each and how they integrate to produce a desirable result. Heart systems. At the Michael Thomas Corporation, we used to use whiteboards extensively in seminars, internal meetings, conferences with clients and prospective clients. Since the vast majority of our work with clients is done by telephone, fax, and mail, rather than in our facilities, as we did when the E-Myth was first published in 1986, we have few such meetings today. As you've probably guessed by now, our facilities were operated, and of course still are, under rigid standards of color and cleanliness. Color standards at the time dictated that we use whiteboards rather than black ones, and blue markers rather than white chalk. Unfortunately, our color standards also dictated that our walls be white. It wasn't long before a conflict developed between our standards of cleanliness and our standards of color. At the end of a seminar, a meeting, or a conference, the person accountable for that particular event was to leave the room in the order in which he found it. This included cleaning the boardwork, which was not our employees' favorite job. Not that they wouldn't do it, they would, but in their haste to get it done so they could get on with the work they preferred to do, the eraser would often fly uncontrollably over the edge of the board. It wasn't long before our once gleaming white walls began to show ugly streaks and smudges of IBM blue ink. It drove us crazy. We mounted an all-out campaign. We held blue ink on the walls meetings. We wrote memos entitled, "To all personnel, subject, blue ink on walls." We created new board cleaning policies. We created cleaning teams. We created wall tours. We created board spot checks. We installed signs above every board saying, "Be careful." But no matter what we did, no matter how hard we tried, no matter what we said to our normally meticulous people, blue ink got on the walls. Our only apparent recourse was to paint the walls white over and over again, or go back to blackboards and white chalk. Neither was acceptable. And that's how our Prevent a Smudge system was created. We had one standard that insisted on impeccably clean walls, and another standard that made the first one seemingly impossible to uphold: white boards, white walls, blue ink. In short, we had a conflict between what we wanted and what we had. The two necessary components of conflict, the essential conditions for innovation, the conditions that give birth to a system. But a third component was needed to translate the conflict we were experiencing into remedial action: will. We were determined to lick the problem and would not rest until we had. Will applied to any conflict creates energy. Conflict without will creates frustration, an engine turning but going nowhere. Conflict with will creates resolution, a movement beyond the dilemma. Voila, the Michael Thomas Corporation Prevent as Much system. It was so obvious, so simple. We installed a clear lucite collar around each board. Extending 4 inches out from the edge of the board, the lucite collar literally stopped the blue ink carnage in its tracks. In one fell swoop, the walls were clean. Our people were delighted, our clients amazed. The constant painting, memo writing, sign creating, team invading, policy polluting activities that had pervaded our organization for more than 3 weeks were history. And all that because of a 4-inch lucite collar, a hard system for producing a human and totally integrated result. A system solution to a typically people-intensive problem without anyone having to pay attention to it, leaving me free to write this book or anything else I cared to do. After all, that's the purpose of a system, to free you to do the things you want to do. Soft systems. Things need to be sold, and it's usually people who have to sell them. Everyone in business has heard the old saw, 80% of our sales are produced by 20% of our people. Unfortunately, few seem to know what the 20% are doing that the 80% aren't. Well, let me tell you. The 20% are using a system, and the 80% aren't. A selling system is a soft system, and I've seen such systems produce 100% to 500% increases in sales in almost no time. What is a selling system? It's a fully orchestrated interaction between you and your customer that follows 6 primary steps. The first step, identification of the specific benchmarks or consumer decision points in your selling process. 2. The literal scripting of the words that will get you to each one successfully. Yes, written down like the script for a play. 3. The creation of the various materials to be used with each script. 4. The memorization of each benchmark's script. 5. The delivery of each script by your salespeople in identical fashion. 6. Leaving your people to communicate more effectively by articulating, watching, listening, hearing, acknowledging, understanding, and engaging each and every prospect as fully as he needs to be. At Michael E. Gerber Companies, we call it the PowerPoint selling system. A career development company we worked with put it in the hands of people with no experience, and revenues increased 300% in 1 year. An advertising agency put it in the hands of people with no experience in either selling or advertising, and revenues increased 500% in 2 years. A health spa put it in the hands of people with no experience, and revenues increased 40% in 2 months. If you put it to work in your company, it will do the same for you, no matter what kind of business you're in. The PowerPoint selling system is composed of 2 parts, structure and substance. Structure is what you do. Substance is how you do it. The structure of the system is all of the predetermined elements of the process. It includes exactly what you say, the materials you use when you say it, and what you wear. The substance of the system is what you, the salesperson, bring to the process. And it includes how you say it, how you use it when you say it, and how you are when you say it. Structure and substance merge in the selling process to produce a far more extraordinary result than any single salesperson could if left to his own devices. Let's look more specifically at the most important component of the PowerPoint selling system, what you say, or what we call at Michael E. Gerber Companies, the PowerPoint selling process. The PowerPoint selling process is actually a series of scripts defining the entire interaction between the salesperson and the customer. These scripts or benchmarks are: number 1, the appointment presentation; number 2, the entrepreneur assessment presentation; and number 3, the solutions presentation. The appointment presentation. Most salespeople fail at the outset of the selling process because they don't realize the purpose of an appointment presentation. Most believe that the purpose of an appointment presentation is to qualify the customer and ascertain whether or not he is a viable prospect. It's not. The purpose of an appointment presentation is one thing and one thing only: to make an appointment. The appointment presentation moves the prospect from where he is to the second benchmark in the process, the entrepreneur assessment presentation. It is a series of words delivered on the telephone or in person that engage the prospect's unconscious, remember, by speaking primarily about the product you have to sell rather than the commodity. For example, "Hi, Mr. Jackson. I'm Johnny Jones with Walter Mitty Company. Have you seen the remarkable new things that are being done to control money these days?" "What new things?" "Well, that's exactly why I called. May I have a moment of your time?" The product? Financial control. Control is the key. The presentation tells Mr. Jackson that there are things going on in the world, remarkable new things that he doesn't know about. He's out of control. But he can now become familiar with them, gain control, by just spending a few moments with Johnny Jones. And it tells him that instantly. Mr. Jackson's emotional commitment is already made. All that he needs now is to find the rational armament to support it. And that's what Johnny Jones's job is. That's why the appointment will be made. Simple and effective. it makes appointments. To do what? To deliver the entrepreneur assessment presentation. The entrepreneur assessment presentation. The first thing you do in an entrepreneur assessment presentation is repeat what you said in the appointment presentation to reestablish the emotional commitment. To complete your entrepreneur assessment and get your free ebook, go to michaelegerber.com/entrepreneur-experience. Remember, Mr. Jackson, when we first talked, I mentioned that some remarkable new things were going on in the world to control money. The second thing you do is tell the prospect how you would like to proceed to fulfill your promise to him. Well, what I'd like to do is tell you about those things. At the same time, I'd like to show you some incredibly effective ways my firm, Walter Mitty Company, has developed to help you control your money here in your business, okay? The third thing you do is to establish your credibility in the prospect's mind by communicating two things. First, your company's expertise in such matters. We are money controlling specialists. We, at Michael E. Gerber Companies, call that a positioning statement. And second, your personal willingness to do whatever is necessary to utilize that expertise on his behalf. Let me tell you why we created our company, Mr. Jackson. We found that people like yourself are continually frustrated by not being able to get the most out of their money. Frustrated by paying higher interest rates than they have to. By working with financial experts who don't seem to know what they're doing. By banking with a bank that doesn't seem to have their best interest at heart, and so on. Do these things ever frustrate you, Mr. Jackson? Of course they do. And that's why Walter Mitty Company has created a money controlling system that makes it possible for you to get the most preferential treatment in the financial arena while paying the least for it. Now, I know that sounds too good to be true, but let me explain how we propose to go about doing that for you. Here, Johnny Jones is communicating that he understands what frustrates Mr. Jackson and that he has the expertise to alleviate those frustrations, not personally, but systematically through the use of the Walter Mitty Company's money controlling system. The fourth thing you do in the entrepreneur assessment presentation is describe the Walter Mitty Company's money controlling system and why it works so well. Not what it does, but the impact it will have on the prospect. The Walter Mitty Company's money controlling system is designed to do three things, Mr. Jackson. First, it enables us to know what specifically bothers you about controlling your money. Because we know that controlling money must be personally tailored to each and every one of our clients. In order to do that, we've created what we call at Walter Mitty Company a money management questionnaire. By asking you these particular questions, we're well on our way to helping you get what you want. Before I leave today, I'll review the questionnaire with you. Once the questionnaire is completed, we return it to our financial systems group. This is a group of financial specialists who review your questionnaire to make certain that it has been completed accurately. If it has, they enter the information into our money controlling system that has been designed to analyze this information and compare it with the broad spectrum of data we've assembled over the years. Once having analyzed the information, the system will then create personally tailored solutions just for you, Mr. Jackson. Ways to secure the kind of preferential treatment we talked about earlier, but at the lowest possible cost. Ways of controlling your money and using it to your advantage, not someone else's. These solutions will then be prepared in the form of a financial report that I'll deliver to you personally and review with you at that time. Should any of our solutions make sense to you, we'll be more than happy to help you implement them. If not, then at least we'll have started the process of becoming better acquainted so that we may be of assistance to you some other time. In any case, the financial report is yours at absolutely no cost whatsoever. It's our way of saying we're serious about what we do and we would be happy to work with you, whether now or in the future. So, let's review the questionnaire together, and when we're done, I'll provide you with a summary of some of the remarkable new things that are happening in the world to control money. Then I'll take your information back so we can prepare your financial report. Okay? The fifth thing Johnny Jones does in the entrepreneur assessment presentation is complete the money management questionnaire. The sixth thing Johnny Jones does is provide the prospective customer with the information he promised and show him how relevant it is to the financial report he will be preparing for him. He could have done this at the outset of their meeting, during the entrepreneur assessment questioning process, or now at the end. The seventh thing Johnny Jones does in the entrepreneur assessment presentation is make an appointment with the prospective customer to return with the financial report, reminding him that Johnny Jones will have some valuable solutions for him at no cost, and that Johnny will take whatever time is necessary to help the prospective customer understand those solutions, whether he decides to implement them or not. Upon completion of the entrepreneur assessment presentation, Johnny Jones will have made an appointment that will bring him to the third benchmark in the PowerPoint selling process, the solutions presentation. The solutions presentation is the easiest component of the PowerPoint selling process. Because if Johnny Jones has done his job effectively up to this point, the sale is already made. Most salespeople think that selling is closing. It isn't. Selling is opening. That's what the entrepreneur assessment presentation does. It opens up the prospective customer to a deeper experience of his frustration and to the opportunities available to him by going through the questioning process with you. You now have something to give him. remarkable new things that will make it possible for him to receive preferential treatment in the financial arena, so as to secure the kind of control over his money he deserves and at a preferentially low cost. In other words, by knowing you, or Johnny Jones, your prospective customer is going to 1. Be on the inside of the financial winner's circle with people who are in the know. 2. Be treated like important people are. 3. Use money like the pros do. And 4. Gain control over his life. And he's going to get all of this without paying too high a price for it. What more could anyone ask for? The solutions presentation simply provides the rational armament for the emotional commitment. Remember that? Here, Johnny Jones brings the prospect up to date by reviewing everything he said and did during the needs analysis presentation. The prospect has forgotten all those psychographically compelling things by now, but he won't for long. They're a part of him. Then Johnny Jones reviews in great, patient, and earnest detail every last word, comma, and number in his prospective customer's financial report. He asks questions to make certain that the prospect feels that this is his financial report, not Walter Mitty Company's. And when Johnny Jones is done, when he's reviewed all of the components of the financial report prepared just for his prospect, Mr. Jackson, he asks him this question. Of the options we've suggested here, Mr. Jackson, which do you feel would best serve you right now? And then waits for the answer, because the next person who speaks is going to make a purchase. If that's Johnny Jones, he's going to buy a no sale. And that's all, except for writing up the sale. Of course, there's everything else to do. What happens when the prospect says this? What happens when the prospect asks me that? And so forth. But believe me, whether you're selling sheets and pillowcases, computers, swimming pools, flowers and fertilizer, canaries, puppets, or Quonset huts, the PowerPoint selling process will work. How do I know that? Because it already has. But if the process is to work for you, you must be willing to go through it the same way every single time. Use the same words the same way every time. Reviewing the financial report the same way every time. And by doing it the same way every single time, you will not have a selling person, but a selling system, a soft system, a completely predictable technology for producing formerly unpredictable results. And you will be able to tell just how predictable it is through the use of an information system. Information systems. For an information system to interact with the soft system in our example, it should provide you with the following information. How many calls were made? How many prospects were reached? How many appointments were scheduled? How many appointments were confirmed? How many appointments were held? How many entrepreneur assessment presentations were scheduled? How many were confirmed? How many were completed? How many solutions presentations were scheduled? How many were confirmed? How many were completed? How many solutions were sold? What was the average dollar value? This information should be recorded on a form, either manually or as a database on your computer. The information system will track the activity of your selling system from benchmark to benchmark. It will tell you an astonishing number of things. It could tell you the rate of conversion between any two benchmarks in your selling process. It could tell you at which benchmark any particular salesperson needs help, which of your people are on the system, that is, using the selling system verbatim, and which ones are off it. If you had calculated the cost of making a call, you could then calculate the cost of completing the next benchmark in the process, and from that derive the next, and so on, until you calculate the actual cost of making one sale. In short, the information system could tell you the things you need to know, things you don't know now, things you need to know in order to develop, control, and change your selling system. Things you also need to know in finance and production and product development. If your system strategy is the glue that holds your franchise prototype together, then information is the glue that holds your system strategy together. It tells you when and why you need to change. Without it, you might as well put on a blindfold, have someone turn you around 3 times, and set out with a dart in your hand, waiting for a signal from the heavens to throw it. Not a very promising game, but one, it seems, most people in small business are determined to play. Hard systems, soft systems, information systems. Things, actions, ideas, information. The stuff of which our lives are made, and the stuff of your business as well. Do you see how difficult it is to separate one from the other? Do you see how intertwined they are? Do you now understand what I mean by your business system, and why it is absolutely essential that you begin to think of your business as a fully integrated system? That to approach any part of your business as though it were separate from all the rest would be lunacy, because everything in your business affects everything else in your business. That your primary aim and your strategic objective and your organizational strategy and your management strategy and your people strategy and your marketing strategy and your system strategy, all of them are totally interdependent rather than independent of one another. That the success of your business development program totally depends on your appreciation of that integration, and that your prototype is that integration. If you understand all of that, then this book has been worth our time. If you don't, take off the blindfold because there's no going around one more time. We've got business to attend to. There's no time left to trust a dart in the dark. We were almost done. Sarah knew it, and I knew it. All that was left was to tie the pieces together, to help her to integrate everything we had talked about together, to help her to see how it was all applicable, indeed essential, to her business all about pies. I understand what you mean by heart systems, she said. The sign on my shop, the floors, the walls, the display cases, the tables, my people's uniforms, and so forth. In other words, all of the visual elements of my business and the way they all fit together. In fact, when it's all done correctly, the entire business should look like one fully integrated, beautifully designed system. I even understand what you mean by information systems, she continued. My ability to extract from the day-to-day operation of my shops. She was already thinking about 4 shops rather than 1. How many pies are sold, what kind of pies, the time they were sold, how many customers came in each shop and when, how many bought pies to go, how many slices of pies were sold to eat on the premises, how many of the customers who bought pie to eat on the premises bought a pie to go, and so forth. And I can imagine a good deal more than that I would like to know now that I've begun to think about it. What I don't fully understand is the soft systems part. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? I can't possibly imagine my people using, what did you call it? The PowerPoint selling system? I suspect you do, without realizing it, I said. Remember what I talked about early on when we were discussing innovation. Hi, have you been in here before? As opposed to, hi, can I help you? Well, what's your version of that? Remember when we talked about the game worth playing and the recruitment process the manager used at the hotel? What about the script he used when he told the story about the boss's game? What's your version of that? And remember when we talked about the hotel's checklists and then went on to describe the management system that defined them? What's your version of that? In fact, I continued, every written or verbal communication with anyone who comes into contact with your business is a soft system. What so few of us understand is the power of those words when they are totally integrated. That your recruitment script and your shop's name and the training you conduct in your school and the words in your customers' brochures and your ads, everything you say must work together, just as the visual components of your shop must work together to make one powerfully effective message. That you are all about pies and that there is no one, absolutely no one else like you. There's no one telling the same story. There's no one else using the same words in exactly the same way you are. And that these words represent the idea behind All About Pies. the idea that comes from your mind and your mind alone, the idea that your aunt understood so well and that you understand so well, the idea of your business, which is the lifeblood of your business, which is the heart of your business, the spirit of your business. And you know now how valuable that spirit is, Sarah. It's to be cherished. It's to be shared with others. It's to be set free upon the world. That's what soft systems are. Do you get it now? Do you see how all of this fits together into one lovely, endurable, however ever-changing, wonderful whole? Can you see now why I say that the technician's role is not enough by far? That there's so much more to be done if your business is ever going to live up to its potential, and that it's fun. Sarah was grinning from ear to ear. Okay. We made it to the end of our last chapter. That means that we will meet again in the last reading, where I will read to you a letter to Sarah and the epilogue. So, thank you for joining me, and I will see you in that last reading session for the E-Myth Revisited.